Hello chaps, now it's time for build update number 3. Yes, build update number 3 on this fabulous huge tiger. So it's time to get some paint down on it. All the construction is done, everything is made, figures are made, everything is ready to go. So it's time to start getting paint down. And first up, I'm going to give it the whole thing a coat of NATO black. Okay, so I'm going to give that a coat of NATO black. When it's done, we'll come back and have a look at it. Great thing about the NATO black is it shows up any defects. Anywhere where, you know, joins might not be so even, they might look okay unpainted. You mightn't even notice them, and then when you paint, you'll say, "Oh God, look at that gap," or "That's sticking out a bit too much." So you can kind of, it's time to do any bit of fixing. That's the time to get the fixing done on it. Now, I don't think that I have any problems. I'm after going over it with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm after checking out everything. So I think everything is okay. So I'm going to give it a coat of NATO black, just to be doubly sure. It's also my primer coat, and it's kind of a shadow coat, loads, multi-coat, multifunctional coat, that's it, multifunctional coat. So I'm going to go on ahead and get the NATO black down. When that's done, we'll come back, like I said, we'll have a look at it in black and carry on then from there. Okay, so here we have it. I'm after getting the NATO black down on everything. When I say everything, I mean everything. Have to use this angle because the only way I can get kind of everything in. There's the main hull of the vehicle, all NATO blacked. Okay, that was pretty dark over there. Oh, we get a light over this way, this side of it. There we go. That's the back of the vehicle done. Sides, even the underneath. Okay, and of course the front. So that's the main vehicle, main body of the tank. We have the turret all done. Okay, machine gun. It's just sort of fitted in there now at the moment. Not glued in yet because it's easier to paint something like that separate. When it comes down to, say, the detail part of it, anyway. Not that there is much detail on the machine gun. There isn't, but we still have to get it done. Why will this really will fit in? There we go. Anyway, right, there's the main body, the turret. Okay, so the turret is all done. Here then we have the exhaust shrouds, the backs of them, and we have the figures. Oh yeah, and the commander's couple at top, edge cover. Okay, and I have the figures sort of done in the NATO black as well, which is handy because the NATO black being a handy colour, the uniforms for these chaps here will be done in the NATO black. I give it a wash of black then, and it kind of darkens it up a bit and sort of darkens the creases. Whereas if you just painted a flat back, it's very hard to to emphasise any parts. You have to go kind of lightening the colour. So there you go. The NATO black works perfect for that. And also all the wheels. Okay, I have them here, and I had to use that to get them all to stick into. It's like kind of big hedgehog of wheels, but they're all in anyway. They've all been NATO blacked. Next step now is to get down the and the tracks. Right, the tracks are done as well. After getting them all a coat of NATO black, so everything has been coated with NATO black. And I'm after going through 3 of the Tamiya bottles of NATO black. 3 bottles of it. Yep. So it's I knew it was going to take a lot of paint. I didn't think it would quite take the 3 bottles of it, but it did. It took 3 of these. Okay, 3 of them. So that's the native black done anyway. That's my main shadow coat and things like that. So the next thing now is to get down the dark yellow. Hoping not to use 3 bottles of the dark yellow. I won't be covering everything in the dark yellow. Certain areas that won't get used with the dark yellow, but a lot of it will, so therefore I'll be close enough to 3 bottles of the dark yellow as well. So on the tracks then I'll just give them an over spray, give them a spray over, but not too intense. I'll be using red brown for that, and that'll kind of give it kind of a rusty-ish look. I don't want to go adding pigments or anything like that, because the tracks work and things like that, and I want to play with it. I want to play with it, so I won't go. I'll kind of paint the rust on rather than build it up with pigments and that kind of thing. So next step now is to get down the dark yellow on all the parts that need the dark yellow, the wheels, the turret, the main body of the tank. That will all need the dark yellow on it, and then all that's left in is the camouflage green, and the only one other colour I'm using. Then I can go on then to the detail painting and all the other little bits and pieces. So next step now, get on the dark yellow onto that, and we'll see what that looks like when that's done. Okay, so there she is with the dark yellow done. I should have tied it away before I started the film. Anyway, I'm after getting the dark yellow down. No problems, everything went swimmingly. Everything's nicely covered. Quite happy with how it went down, how it laid down, and the effect there from the that Mr. Surfacer was grand, because like I said, it was pure smooth. It didn't look right, whereas now it's got a bit of texture in it. I'm much happier with that. The Zimmerit there on the side, as you can see, looks grand. I'm quite happy with that. I suppose it could be a little bit neater, but I'm not an expert at it, and I'm never profess to be one. But literally, I'm happy with how everything turned out. Like the chipped bits on the Zimmer, it looks well as well. I think it looks realistic. I'm quite happy with that. So that's the turret. Here we go in. Oh, another big chunky piece. The size of this thing is immense. The body of the tank, same again. Everything went down lovely. Love the effect on the top surface there from the Mr. Surfacer. Just everything's working out nicely so far. It's really down to the rest of the painting and how that turns out. Like the green is next now on that, and get the camouflage on, and then we can start on the detail painting. Getting it all nicely fitted up. And I have the wheels done as well. Okay, they're all painted with the dark yellow. So now I do my spraying during the day, because I don't have one of those vented airbrush confines or little unity things. So I do my painting during the day. Gives it time then, because this is my bedroom. So by the time the evening comes around, then Mrs. M isn't sort of choking on fumes or smelling paint or anything like that. It's all well and cleared by then. So the last 2 nights I've been working away on the figures, and believe me, I am thrilled with how these came on. Still working away on them. They're still work in progress. They're not finished yet. Okay, but so far so good. There's the first figure. Now you've probably seen them up on my on the Facebook page, John Moore Scale Models Facebook page. If you're not a member, go and apply. The description or the link will be in the box below. But I'm really happy with how they came out. Really happy. Very easy to do. For the piping around the edges here, as you can see from the tip of my toothpick there, that's what I've been doing. So I dip the paint into the toothpick and just touch it off it and just move along. Oh, it takes time, but it works, and it did that piping lovely, absolutely lovely. Okay, as you see, he's even got eyes. I did eyes. Quite happy with that. Quite happy with how they're turning out. Still a bit more work to do on them. I'm going to get them gloss coated, get a bit of a wash onto them. I'm going to put a black wash on them because that's NATO black. Okay, which is kind of a greyish. No, it'll work perfectly. I mean, it's perfect colour for what I want. But when I give them a wash, then it means all the deeper areas will go darker again. Hopefully, and you know, so I'm going to give them a gloss coat, give them a wash, see how they work out. Then dull coat them all up again. You know, but so far so good. I'm happy with how they're turning out. They're getting there. They are getting there. So more work to do on them, and camouflage green to do on the main tank itself. So that's my next step. I'm going to use NATO green. This is the scheme I'm going to use. I'm going to go for. Okay, tank 321. Alright, and it gives a grand picture of all sides of it, which is perfect. Now, I'd even decided on going the green and the dark yellow before this even came, you know. And there are other versions of it. There's a thinner green lines. There's the brown, plain, green and brown, kind of green leopard spots, I suppose you could kind of call it, and the green and brown heavy stripes there. Those green and brown heavy stripes there is sort of like the Michael Whitman tank that I did earlier on. But yeah, I'm quite happy with going for this one here. The sort of the green wavy lines thing, you know, some thick, some thin. So I'm going to go for that one. I'm getting as close to that as I can possibly do it. I'm no expert with the detailed painting with the airbrush, but I'm not bad. Okay. So that's my next step. Get the green done, and keep plodding away with the figures. So I'll get back to you as soon as I have the green done, and show you whatever I've gotten done then again with the figures. We'll have another look at them. So see you now in a sec with the camouflage done. Right, now just before I start the camouflage on the vehicle, as you see, I have all the wheels out. I've taken them off their sticks so they're nice and easy to work with, because I want them all to stay perfectly flat. Excuse me. So what I did was I gloss coated just the tops of them. Okay, because I don't want the wash to really stain them too much, right? And I made my usual black wash, okay, which is a mixture of Artist's White Spirit and black enamel paint, okay. Mix it up and make yourself a little quantity of it, stick it into a, to me, a paint jar, perfect for it. I did the tops of them, and now I'm doing the undersides of them here. You know, the wheel, the inner wheel, okay? You might get to see a bit of it. But the inner wheel would be a lot dirtier than the outer wheel, so therefore I didn't gloss coat the inner side of it, right? Because when you gloss coat it, it just, a lot of it flows off. It doesn't really change the colour of it. Whereas when you put it on plain paint, okay, just weathers a lot better, okay. When those sides are dry, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them up, and I'm going to do the same then on the insides. I'll do all that before I go putting back on the rubbers, back on the tyres, It's a slow process because you got to sort of do a bit, wait for it to dry before you can kind of go on and do any more. And it's one of those things as well, whereas if you only weather the outside of it, you know, the bits that are blatantly visible, and you only weather that section, and you move the vehicle where you can kind of see into sections and you see it's not weathered, it just doesn't look right. To me, it doesn't look right. So with the wheels, I'm weathering them separately as opposed to weathering them on the vehicle. Another good thing about weathering them separately as opposed to weathering them on the vehicle, by keeping them level like that, the wash doesn't streak. Okay, because the last thing you want is sort of drips in your weathering, because your weathering for especially on the wheels is just, you know, wear and tear, dirt, grime getting in there and everything else. And if it's all sort of streaked and going in the one direction, it just won't look right, especially if you sort of roll the vehicle and the wheels get moved, so you got sort of streaks going sideways. Not natural. Sideways streaks don't work, unfortunately. So it's just as easy to do them all when you can keep everything level when it's drying in. For putting on this wash, I'm using a very, very soft brush, okay, because I don't want to sort of scrape it on. Right, and it doesn't matter, you don't have to be too even. Some can be darker, some can be lighter. It doesn't really matter. I mean, dirt doesn't always apply itself in a nice even coats. You can tell that from your children. You know, when they come in, their clothes are all covered in stains and things. It's not sort of a general all over nice and even stain, is it? It's all over the place. It's sort of random. Dirt is random, most definitely random. And what this is basically dirt. So nice and random, keeping it nice and random. As that dries in, it will lighten off a bit anyway, because the nature of washes, that's basically just what they do. So I'm going to leave that now for a while. Quite happy with the view so far on them. I'm going to go on now and I'm going to do the side walls of the tank. And what I mean by the side walls, I'm only calling them the side walls because I don't know what the actual flipping term is. Alright, on the vehicle, if we look at it, this section here, okay, in there, I'm only going to give it a wash with the black wash. That's all I'm going to do. Sorry, this section in here, I'm only just going to give it a black wash. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to bother putting on mud or any of that kind of stuff. I remember back there some time ago, Pz.Kpfw.VI. He's a German modeler, a fabulous freaking modeler. If I could kind of get half to what he's at, I'd be thrilled to bits. But he basically sort of went around looking at vehicles. Brought his camera with him, and he was looking at tanks driving around. I think it was at that big show that they do in Germany, where they kind of all the World War II vehicles, they go in, they drive around and things like that, and you might even get a spin on one if you're lucky enough. And he was they'd already been through the mud and God knows what else, and very, very little of it actually accumulates in here. Okay, it gets dirty, but it doesn't get as destroyed as what some people do with their weathering, and big thick dried in mud. Yeah, if it's kind of up to its gunnels in mud constantly, but in general, sort of driving around, it's not going to get mud like that in those areas. It's just not. It's not going to happen. So a light black wash, that'll do perfect for me. It'll just dirty it up a bit. That's all. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the dirty look as opposed to the the overly weathered, covered in mud. Because if you do it on the sidewalls, like I said, I'm calling them the sidewalls, you have to kind of continue it on and do it everywhere. You do it everywhere. What's the point in painting it then? Why don't you just sort of get your model and just cover it in fucking mud? Nice thick slathering of mud. Beautiful paint job, wasted. So by just dirtying it, it makes it stand out that little bit better. So I'm going to go on, I'm going to carry on with that. I got to do the sidewalls and the drive sprockets, get them weathered up. Then I can do the other undersides of these. When all that's dry, then I can put back on the rubbers onto the wheels and get them fitted then after the paint is dry on the camouflage. So I'm going to get them done, then I'm going to do the camouflage. We'll have a look at it then at that stage. Before I put the wheels on, we'll have a look at the wheels both sides, we'll have a look at the sidewalls, the drive sprocket, and we'll see the camouflage pattern done as well. So back with you in a few and we can see all that done. Okay, I'm continuing to work away here on the wheels. There they are after getting their wash. Okay, as you see, just sort of dirty them up a little bit. I do want them a bit more than that, and the rubbers, they're just too shiny and clean and perfect. Okay, for what I'm going for. So I've been working away with my little Dremel with a sanding disc on the top of it, or a sanding cylinder, whatever you want to call it. Being careful, you have to be careful with it, and roughing up the wheels. Okay, so as you see, that is much better, much more realistic. I'm really happy with them. Okay, and then decided that the insides just need a little bit more, a bit of chipping, that kind of thing, right? So I started with this one. As you can see, just a little bits of chipping marks here, right? The colour I'm using is Hull Red, which will sort of scrape the paint off right down to the primer layer, and the primer being red in this colour. In this case, use sort of a red lead. I think it was called a red oxide primer. As you can see, it's all sort of working towards it, so it's getting there. Just a little bit of sponging now on that with the red oxide again, and that'll do grand. And for that purpose, down to the kitchen and robbed one of Mrs. M's kitchen scrubbers. Take a bit of sponge off that, and I'll do a bit of dabbing on them. Don't want to overdo them, that's the danger, you see. The danger is that you sort of overdo it and ruin the whole effect that you're going for. So, you know, in a case like this, it's a case of less is more, because you can always add. It's very hard to take away, so, but you can always add. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a tiny little bit of sponging on each wheel as well, just as well as a couple of scrapes, as you can see with those. And I'm going to do a tiny little bit of sponging on them, and hopefully then I'll be happy enough with them. Then I can get them fitted. Don't really have to damage up the inside rubbers too much. I mean, as long as they're kind of visible, it's just more the outside one, the outside ring here, that I'm kind of going for that. I wouldn't call it damaged look, but used. Another little hint and tip there is just get your blade, cut out little chunks, just little ones, right, like that. All these little nicks and scrapes, because it does happen. If you look at tank wheels, especially with they have the rubber done on them. Now I know most of the pictures are there of ones that are there now, so the wheels are say 70 years old, so obviously they've deteriorated a bit. But when you start can see period photographs of them, you can see the same kind of thing, the same kind of damage gets done to them. You know, bits of rock would get in there between the track and the wheel, take a little ding out of it, they get worn away, and yeah, that's close enough to what I'm looking for. When they're all fitted and everything else is weathered in, it'll probably look a lot better, but you know, and I can add a bit more if needed. But so far so good, and I'm happy with them. I'm happy with the work I'm doing on those wheels. Like I said, they're not finished yet. Might need another little bit of a pin wash on the bolts, just to make them stand out that little bit better. I did a little bit on that one. As you can see now, the difference. Much better. Okay, so we're getting there slowly but surely, and It's one of those things. I'm not in a rush. I just want it done, and I want it done kind of right. Well, right for me anyway. So that's the way those wheels will be. So I need to get the wash in there again. I practiced it with this one, washing around that weld seam there, and a little bit of a pin wash on the nuts. Pin wash on your nuts. Need more pin wash on the nuts. So plenty of work to do on the wheels, because there's 18 of these, 16 of these, should I say, 8 either side. So there's 16 of these little babies to do, and also then you got to do a bit of chipping and all that kind of good stuff on these as well. And you know, anyway, they're much better now. So a bit of chipping on them, be absolutely gorgeous. This line here, I'll use silver on that, okay, because that will get worn down on the track. The paint will be worn off it. I mean, it wouldn't be nicely painted. That would be kind of down to the bare metal. Same then on the drive sprockets. The points on the drive sprocket, they'd be worn away as well, so they'd be kind of silvered as well. So they've got to be done. So still plenty of work to do in just the wheels alone. And I haven't even moved on to the tracks yet, or the body. Haven't started the camouflage in it yet. So tons of work to get done. So I'm going to continue on with the wheels anyway for a while. Hopefully by the time the weekend is over, I'll have them done, and we'll see how things go. So back to work, John. Now, there she is, and as has been the case since I started this kit, when I'm trying to get the whole lot into a picture, it's practically impossible, because it's so big. But I'm going to have to get the camouflage scheme down there, as you can see. I'm happy enough with that. So I also have a fair amount done on the wheels. I'd say they're 99.9% finished. Now, if you look at that, I am really chuffed with how they come out. Just get a bit of extra light in on them so we can see them. Look at them. Beautifully dirtied up, and as they would be. And the wheels themselves, the rubbers came out absolutely fabulous with that sort of distressed look and everything else. Didn't bother going to the seriously distressing the inside rubbers and things like that, but the outside ones, because it's all overlapped. You're not going to get to see the inside rubbers. That is very nice. Very, very happy with them. Like I said, I also have the figures nearly ready. Okay, figures are nearly finished as well. I'm going to get a dull coat onto them now, get the shine off them. Finish off your man's ribbon there for the Iron Cross. Just got to get a bit of white onto it. Then when I get them dull coated, I can finish off the weathering on them, and the tank itself. Then just all the detail painting has to be done. The tracks, tow cables, tools, antenna, the exhausts, loads. Still plenty to do. All the damaged bits on the Zimrit, they're all going to get painted. Where the Zimrit is all chipped off, that's going to get painted underneath with the hull red colour, because it would have been set in the hull red. It would have been primed, and then the Zimrit then put over that, and then finished off then with this finish off paint. So if you chip a lump off, you're going to have the primer underneath. Yeah, that's about all that's really left with that. I like saying that. That's all that's left. That's basically everything else. Still tons to do. I'm going to leave this video at this point. That's enough. I don't want the videos to be too long. People start losing interest in things. So in the next update, we should hopefully get it finished off. fingers crossed we get it finished off in the next update, hopefully. So like I said, that's it for this update. Don't forget to join me for the next update, and of course join me on Monday. Yes, myself and Abby on Monday for the bum, this week's bum, or next week's bum should I say. Don't forget to join us for that. So in the meantime, be nice to one another, enjoy your modelling. As I always say, go out and buy yourself a kit, build it and enjoy it, because enjoying it is the whole point in doing it. If you're not going to enjoy it, then just don't bother doing it. Simple as that. Okay lads, I'll catch you in the next one lads. Stay safe, enjoy your modelling. Toodaloo.